Good day, dear listeners, with you sports news today. Why did Valieva's tests come only after the gold medal in command? In Stockholm. They were checked twice as long as usual. The Stockholm Anti-Doping Laboratory checked Kamila Valieva's tests twice as long as usual. The time it took Swedish specialists to study the sample of the Russian figure skater is puzzling, as well as the time of publication of data on the results of the audit. The head of the Russian Olympic Committee, Stanislav Pozniakov, commenting today on the situation around the figure skater Kamila Valieva, expressed surprise at the extra-long periods of testing the athletes' samples at the Stockholm Anti-Doping Laboratory. Our star single skater was tested on December 25, 2021 during the Russian Championship in St. Petersburg, and information about a positive result for trimetazidine was provided to the Russian side only on February 7. That is, it took the Swedes 44 days to test, more than 6 weeks, despite the fact that this process usually takes 3 weeks. Is this delay random? I have serious questions about the time frame that passed between December 25, when the sample was taken in St. Petersburg, and February 8, when it was made public, Pozniakov said, TASS said. In accordance with international standards for laboratories of the World Anti-Doping Agency, the time limit for loading an A sample is 20 days from the date of receipt of the sample in the laboratory. It looks very strange that the sample traveled from St. Petersburg to Stockholm for almost a month. This raises very serious questions for me, and it is very likely that someone held this sample until the end of the team skaters competition. Increasing incidents. The Russian Anti-Doping Agency, RUSADA, in its press release has already tried to answer the question posed by the head of the ROC. Information about the adverse result of the analysis of the athlete's sample was received by RUSADA on February 7, 2022, the agency said. According to the data sent by the laboratory to RUSADA, the reason for the delays in testing and reporting by the laboratory was another wave of COVID-19. An increase in the incidence among laboratory personnel and quarantine rules. Of course, we are all people, we all get sick, COVID is coming. And then there were the Christmas holidays and the difficult moment of transporting samples from one country to another. There are no names of athletes on the samples, only barcodes. However, the Stockholm laboratory could not help but understand that the Olympics were ahead and the test tube with biomaterial that got to them could most likely belong to the future Olympian. And delay with it can lead to a very bad situation, when the athlete has already performed, and his result will be in question. At the recent Tokyo Olympics, there were several athletes who were disqualified for tests taken on the eve of the Games. They are Nigerian sprinter Blessing Okagbare, Ukrainian triathlete Yulia Elistratova, Brazilian volleyball player Tandara Kaisheta. But none of them had time to participate in the medal draws, all the laboratories kept within 3 weeks. And the athletes were withdrawn before the start or at the stage of preliminary competitions. Perhaps no one had problems with COVID last summer? No comments. Could some bureaucratic issues, lack of staff, or just negligence have caused the delay in testing? Easy. However, all this led to a very unpleasant situation, when a complex issue has to be dealt with in a hurry. Of course, it would be better if this positive test did not exist at all, but since this problem arose, it would be much easier for everyone if the process of investigation and suspension fell on the out-of-competition period. And there were all the possibilities for this. 20 days after the test at the Russian Championship is January 14. There are still 3 weeks before the start of the Olympic team tournament. Of course, our team would not apply to Valieva as a team player, knowing that she had an ambiguous test result. We had other great single skaters at our disposal. Well, or Kamila would have had time to prove her innocence, and now she would calmly prepare for personal competitions, and would not have experienced this whole nightmare. And the situation in which a message about a positive test comes exactly on the day the ROC team wins gold in the team tournament, where, in addition to Valieva, 5 more athletes are involved. Causes legitimate bewilderment. Are there such coincidences? And could this information be kept on purpose? There is no evidence, but there was a theoretical possibility. By the way, the reputation of the institution that checked Valieva's doping test is not the most cloudless. In 2018, the Stockholm laboratory at the Karolinska Institute lost WADA accreditation for a year. She failed the screening tests that the World Agency periodically arranges for their licensed anti-doping centers. A year later, the laboratory corrected itself, and accreditation was restored in full. Alas, Anton Toadstool, laboratory director of the Karolinska Institute, declined to comment on the delay in the analysis of Valieva's test. Our laboratory staff is not allowed to comment in any way on the case, which is still under investigation, as it violates the WADA code, said Institute spokeswoman Katharina Trepper. That's all for today. If the information was interesting to you, put likes, subscribe to the channel, and see you soon.